Now to Ohio's U.S. Senate race, and J.D. Vance beating out several other Republicans, sealing that nomination tonight. So I believe he is addressing the crowd and accepting the nomination. So let's listen in.
Flood us with even worse drugs, the fentanyl that's made in communist China. How about we put them both in jail, ladies and gentlemen? Why don't we do that? And our people are caught between a Democrat Party that bends the knee to major American corporations and their woke values, because the Democrats actually agree with those ridiculous values, 42 genders and all the other insanity. And an establishment Republican Party that actually thinks the only thing worse than not teaching American children that there are 42 genders is actually saying no to a multinational corporation doing business with the Chinese. Ladies and gentlemen, the people who are caught between the corrupt political class of the left and the right, they need a voice. They need a representative. And that's going to be me. And the thing, all of the great things about running for office, the people I got to meet, that we have a beautiful state. I grew up not too far from here, about 45 minutes away, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time in Lake Erie growing up. I hate to admit it because I'm not a Cleveland sports guy, but Cleveland is a beautiful town. And there are a lot of no, that's not acceptable. But the thing that I will say that breaks my heart when I've gone across the state of Ohio is the people who look me in the eye and say, please, please don't forget about me. And to all of those people, whether they're in our party or not, I promise you, I remember where I came from. I remember who made me who I am. And when I get to the U.S. Senate, I will not forget about you. I will not forget about you. So tonight, we're going to celebrate. Maybe a little too much. I'm 37 years old. I've got my celebration packet, a pack of Gatorade, a couple of Advil, and some Tums. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not the same man I was 10 years ago. But tomorrow, when I say the people of Ohio need a voice, tonight we celebrate, and tomorrow we start a campaign that ensures they have that voice. We're going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you, and thank you again.
So from hillbilly elegy to the top of the hill, a lot of money spent in that race. He wins on the Republican side of that U.S. Senate race. And everybody around America was really focused on Ohio and wondering who would win this, and he emerges victorious.
And when I hosted that U.S. Senate debate with the Republican candidates, he was lagging behind in the polls. He was sort of toward the bottom of the five that we had there. And since then, he has clearly climbed to the top.
Yep, the debates and the Donald Trump endorsement, two big factors. The numbers rolling in and made it awfully difficult tonight so far for the other four big names in the GOP race for Senate in Ohio. Again, they've been lagging way behind.
And WLWT News 5 Stephen Albritton breaking down candidate reaction now to losing this race. Hi there, Stephen.
Hey, Mike and Tree. All four of the top opponents have now conceded this race. Mike Gibbons, who was a frontrunner just a couple of months ago, was the first to do so. He spent millions and millions of his own money to try and win, and will likely end up fourth at best. He wrote on Twitter that the night didn't go as planned, but he doesn't want supporters to be discouraged. Jane Timken also conceded to J.D. Vance in a tweet saying, "I'm proud of the race I've run and know we must retake the Senate in November." Josh Mandel, who called himself a forever Trumper, just spoke a few minutes ago about this loss.
We made some promises.
I don't think we have that sound from Josh Mandel, but he thanked.
I just called JD to congratulate him on a hard-fought victory. I look forward to voting for him in November and doing what I can to help him beat Tim Ryan. The stakes are too high for this country to not support the nominee.
And that's Josh Mandel just a few minutes ago. Matt Dolan as well tweeted out his concession statement and will back J.D. Vance heading into November. Stephen Albritton, WLWT News 5.
All right, Stephen, thanks so much. And be sure to stay with WLWT for all of your Election Day race results. Right now on WLWT.com, we have a complete list of the very latest results and those very key races to you.